Hello, this is Katie Flint, News Director of WREK Atlanta. I am here with Wayne Thompson, Director of the Undergraduate Co-op Program, and Tom Aikens, former Executive Director of the Division of Professional Practice, and now the Chair of the Co-op Centennial Celebration. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. How did the co-op program start? How did it manifest?
Well, the co-op program has been in existence for 100 years. It started in 1912, so this year we are celebrating our centennial, which is 100 years of cooperative education. It's been a continuous program since 1912.
It began at that point. Co-op had begun at the University of Cincinnati in 1906, and the president of Georgia Tech at that time, who was Kenneth Matheson, actually was friends of the president of the University of Cincinnati, and he heard about the co-op program there and did a little, I guess you might call investigating or research into it by talking to his friend, the president of Cincinnati, and then he actually ran a prototype co-op program unbeknownst to the faculty at Georgia Tech. In 1909, he established a research committee chaired by Professor T.P. Branch, and they had recommended, as a result of this committee's research, recommended that Georgia Tech start a co-op program.
All right. Today, what percentage of students are active in the co-op program, and out of that percentage, how many of them end up getting full-time jobs after graduation?
Well, we actively are working with approximately 3,000 students who are in the co-op program. Every semester there are between 500 to 600 students who we place for first time in a co-op job. The second question had to do with
how many of those students end up getting full-time jobs after their co-op program?
Okay. Of course, the intent of the program is for employers to be able to take a snapshot, a capsule look at those students to see if there is a long-term fit. Well, we have found out in terms of national information that we have that approximately 60% of those students nationally, and that about is what happens at Georgia Tech, about 60% nationally who are co-op with an employer will receive or will be made a full-time offer as they approach graduation by that employer.
All right. And even though the co-op program has been here for 100 years, how is it still developing?
Well, we continue to work and look for new employers. One of the things that we are aggressively doing is we're marketing our program. Some of the smaller majors where there aren't as many opportunities. One of the pieces that each one of the advisors has in the office is that they need and must get out and do some networking and do some job development for some of the smaller majors on campus. The larger majors, mechanical, electrical, those majors, generally there are more jobs, but it's what we do with the smaller majors that we think is very significant, that we're looking to find opportunities for all of our students. The only school that we don't work with in terms of cooperative education would be architecture majors.
All right. And the co-op program, how does it really help in terms of what employers look for? I know you mentioned that it takes a snapshot of the student as somebody in the workplace, but how else does it really help employers?
Well, the significance of the program is that it gives the student the opportunity to get real live experience, firsthand experience in their major. By being a co-op student, what we're hoping happens is that when they go out on a job assignment, it validates their career choice. For the employer, it's a source of recruiting, the perfect storm would be a student takes a job with a co-op employer, works the 3 required work terms or more with that employer, and then the employer offers that student a full-time job after they have finished completion of the program. One of the nice pieces also about the program, the co-op program, is that students that work the 3 required work terms that we would ask them to complete will receive a co-op designation on their diploma when they graduate.
All right, and shifting gears a little bit, what kind of celebrations will be happening for the 100th anniversary?
Well, back on September 18th, Katie, we had a birthday bash that was supposed to be held at the Clough Commons, but due to inclement weather, we had to shift it to the Student Center Ballroom. And we had a couple hundred people that actually attended that, employers, students, former employees of the Division of Professional Practice and the co-op program, and a good number of alumni. We had there at the birthday bash a symbolic birthday cake cutting, and President Peterson was there along with the provost, Dr. Bross, and the Dean of Engineering, Gary May, who's also a co-op alumnus of Georgia Tech. We were able to have a proclamation from the governor that was delivered by Regent Dean Alford, who is a co-op alumnus of Georgia Tech, proclaiming from Governor Nathan Deal that it was Georgia Tech Co-op Day in the state of Georgia. We also had a proclamation from Mayor Kasim Reed of Atlanta basically saying the same thing, and resolutions from the Georgia House of Representatives and the Georgia Senate. That was a great day. We had a luncheon afterwards for about 100 people. Excuse me, about 100 people that was well received, and we had guest speakers in from other schools and a couple of alumni that spoke, along with representatives from some of the co-op professional organizations. Coming up at homecoming on October 27th at 10 a.m., the Georgia Tech Co-op Alumni Affinity Group will be holding a homecoming brunch, but this is a special homecoming brunch this year since it is the centennial year. The Affinity Group will be awarding a special Co-op Centennial Award to Mr. John Goodwin, who is an IE co-op class of '62, who has been very supportive of the co-op program with his time and donations. We also are going to be recognizing the winner of the Co-op Centennial T-shirt design contest. This person will be receiving an iPad for having the winning design of the official Co-op Centennial T-shirt. We also will be, after the brunch and before kickoff of the Brigham Young game that day, we'll be dedicating a time capsule which will be dedicated and placed in the ground just outside the Savant building on the east side near the entrance where you come into the Division of Professional Practice. That was also a contest among the students who had the ability to submit online in a survey their suggestions as what should be placed in that time capsule. And when the winners of that contest are announced, they will be receiving gift cards to the Georgia Tech bookstore. In addition, we have several other things going on. In November, we're hosting an international symposium at the Georgia Tech Hotel November 14 through 16, where we'll have about 80 to 100 delegates from all over the world, from industry and academic institutions coming to Georgia Tech to discuss cooperative education and what other countries sometimes call work-integrated education. This will be, as I said, an international event, and our keynote speaker there will be John Brock, who's the president of Coca-Cola Enterprises and, of course, a Georgia Tech alumnus as well. And then next spring, we will be having our first class inducted into the Co-op Hall of Distinction, which these will be people who have contributed greatly to co-op in the past and continue to contribute to the co-op program at Georgia Tech. Some are alumni, some may hold other positions and may not have attended Georgia Tech, but our first class will be inducted in the spring, and then we will also be placing a historical medallion outside the entrance to the Savant building where you go into the Division of Professional Practice and the co-op office there. There'll be some other social activities, I think, probably in the winter and early spring that will involve some employers and students as well, maybe something around a Georgia Tech basketball game in the new McCamish Pavilion.
All right. And going back to the co-op program, how is the co-op program going to be developed for, let's say, the smaller majors such as nuclear and radiological engineering and material science?
Yeah, and those are, and in fact, both of those majors are majors that I support and work with as an advisor in the office. We again will look at publications. We will send out inquiries. We will get newsletters. We'll get publications. What we'll do is anything we can to find employers that would hire those majors. And then we are very aggressive in terms of marketing our program to them. And surprisingly, it's not a hard sell. When employers view the opportunities that we offer and the fact that they can get a good, productive student working in their environment at a very significantly reduced rate, then it becomes very attractive to that employer. So again, the key for us with the smaller majors is marketing. And again, that's one of the requirements for all of the advisors in the office. We are actively, aggressively seeking out as many names of employers as we can. We are in contact with the various schools to find out what contacts they have of companies that hire those majors, and then we start to aggressively seek those companies out.
All right. Well, that all sounds fantastic. Thank you guys so much for coming in and taking the time to talk to us. You can listen to WREK News every weekday at 7, 8, 9, and 11 a.m., as well as 2 and 4 p.m. And you can listen to this full interview on our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/WREK News. Thank you so much again.
Thank you, Katie.